Well, it's 10:01, so or 1:01 or 12:01, depending on where you are. Welcome, everybody. We're really excited to have you here today. I am Marilyn Wilson. I'm the president of RE Technology and also the founder and CEO of Wave Group. Some of you may know me from that side of my brain. But we're super excited to talk to you today about how do we use education and technology to really help underline the power and value of an MLS. Right? And how can we make sure that people understand that they can work together with us? MLSs and brokers and MLSs and agents and appraisers and even affiliates can work together with us to do amazing things. So with that, why don't you turn to the next one? I'll officially announce you guys and then we'll jump in.
Yeah, absolutely.
So as I mentioned, we have Stephanie Alfonso with us. She is a longtime person from the real estate industry. Constant Contact has basically created a whole real estate division around her, which is amazing. And so she's done education for MLSs around the country for many, many years. She used to work for Elm Street, if some of you may remember that company. So she's been with us. So thanks, Stephanie. And she's got great energy and really understands how MLSs can work effectively together with Constant Contact. And we've got Chad Jacobson. Many of you may know him. He is the CEO of Prime MLS, which is up in the New England area. Actually, a 2-state MLS, correct? Two and maybe a quarter state MLS. If you had a few others in there.
2+.
2+, right? Which is not easy to do, as any of you that on the call that have ever attempted that, you know that. And Chad's been in that seat for a couple of years now, taking it to a whole new level. He actually helped rebrand what was called NARIN, some of you may remember, to Prime MLS and kick off a whole new communications effort for the company. So welcome, both of you guys.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
Thanks for having me here today.
Yeah, so, I think everyone that's in the MLS space, I think for the most part, we're getting through the initial shock and awe of the removal of compensation. I'm happy to report that I hear in most markets, it was relatively painless compared to what it could have been. There was so much education done, so much communication done, in this case, through Constant Contact, as an example, that we seem to have, we've kind of come out the other end. There's still a lot of things that brokers are struggling with and worrying about. But for the most part, I think MLSs have done pretty well. Would you agree with me, Chad?
Yeah, globally, I think the industry did quite well. We got very aggressive from a timeline perspective, and actually implemented the changes a full month ahead of the NAR deadline, so that we weren't heavily enforcing it during that timeline,
Right.
up until the August deadline. But that gave people a chance to really just get ready for the real deadline. And I agree with your assessment, Marilyn, that while some people were still at the last minute surprised, they have adapted very quickly to the removal of one of the pillars of the MLS from underneath us, which was cooperating compensation.
Exactly. So let's go to the next slide, because that's a good segue into this. So some of you may know at Wave Group, we do a lot of research on a variety of topics. By the way, if anybody is talking about clear cooperation in your market, there's an article in Inman today of a study we just fielded, so feel free to check that out. But we asked the question of agents and brokers across the country. We asked them a variety of things, but one of them we asked them is how valuable is the MLS without compensation? Is it the same, just as valuable, less valuable, or more valuable? And I got to tell you, I was a little surprised and shocked and saddened to see the number that 41% of agents said they believe their MLS is less valuable without compensation. Now, in fairness, we did this right after the sting as it was being removed. So we're going to do it again and see if maybe people are going to realize it's not the end of the world. But I think the point is still it's well taken, right? That MLSs do a lot of other things and did a lot of other things long before compensation was removed. Yes, it was an important component, but the amount of data quality and curation that's done, right? The amount of data that's rolled up and shared across markets that's been done, the suite of technology services with the Customer Experience Index, which is a survey we do through Wave Group. We've talked to almost 300,000 agents, and in those markets, it's MLSs are offering anywhere from 10 to 12 technologies. So the old days where an MLS was an MLS system good to go, it just doesn't exist anymore, even in small MLSs, right? So we have so much to talk about and so many other things to lean in on to take credit and to help people feel excited about what they do. Even, products like List Track, for example, that help them learn how much lead generation and listing exposure that's been done. Public facing websites that MLS is offering, all the leads that come through that. There's just so many things that an MLS does, not the least of which is pulling all the smartest and most experienced real estate professionals into one place in a market, right? So you can talk to one another and share ideas and obviously share listings and share opportunities. So we have so much to talk about, but I think this tells us something that we got to do this and we got to adapt. So yes, so go for it, Stephanie.
Yeah. So yeah, just excited to continue being involved in this conversation. And from my viewpoint, where I stand and where I get to be belly to belly with MLS leadership, agents, brokers, really comes down to when you're listening to everybody and they're expressing what their fears, their concerns are with the changes. How are we going to adapt? From my standpoint, from a marketing perspective or from a communications perspective, that's really where my wheelhouse is how are we with Constant Contact coming alongside the industry and saying, hey, we're here for you right now. Your communication to your members, to your staff, and of course to the rest of the world, this is taking precedence, because as much as we're all in it together and we are going to conferences and we're having meetings and we're on a million webinars, who also doesn't understand what's going on is everybody else. They're not sleeping, breathing it like we are. So they don't understand what these commission changes mean. They don't understand why buyers' compensation has changed and what that means to everybody else. And so when we're training and coaching agents, they're wanting to know, how can I communicate my value? Right? When I talk to leadership with MLS and associations, they're saying, how can we communicate our value? So what are we doing to stay in front of our audience, build that value, brand ourselves as thought leaders and industry experts, and remove the sting of what has happened? I'll tell you guys super quick. I went to a birthday party with my daughter. A friend of mine was listing her multi-million-dollar property on her own, bought a multi-million-dollar property vacation home in Georgia on her own. And she was like, I mean, honestly, who even needs to use an agent nowadays, right? And of course, I'm cringing. But I thought to myself, I need to take this fire that burns in me with this conversation and bring it to my classes to say, this is your fault. This is our fault. Like, we need to be better communicators and sharing what's going on and not just stay in our little bubble of, oh my gosh, how are we going to adapt, right? So all that to be said, it's our passion to be able to say, hey, MLS, hey, associations, brokers, how can we come alongside you and partner with you in education? How can we actually partner with you guys and provide tools that are going to fill those needs of what agents and brokers are looking at and associations and MLS are looking at? How can I communicate better? And of course, Constant Contact happens to be the absolute best for that. So I've been very proud to be able to hang my education hat under the umbrella of Constant Contact. And of course, Prime MLS, I've been doing education with them for many years, over 10 years, and super, super proud and excited to not only have them as customers of ours. They do an amazing job with communication, consistent communication with their folks, and of course, always providing value to their members in the form of communication and valuable technology. So that kind of kicks us off, adapting to it. What are we doing? Chad, I'd love to kind of hear from you a little bit of, just kind of sharing when all these things were taking place and you knew that communication was going to be something that's so super important. How can I bring value? What can I do to bring value to my members? How can I help them to bring value to their sphere? And how can we communicate it?
Well, we try to reach out to our members a couple of different ways, as you said, on a consistent basis, but without spamming them. It's a fine line. If you send too many emails, you're going to get a lot of ignored emails.
That's right.
So I think Brianna Garrett, who's our Director of Customer Success, has found the perfect balance in our communication to members. We have an incredible open rate on our monthly newsletter. It's 65% is our average, which Stephanie, you're the industry expert. I think you would say that that's
Far above average.
pretty darn good, right?
Average is about 28%.
Okay.
So you know, that's excellent. And a lot of that is due to the fact that you guys are providing quality content, that people are, you're forming habits of people reading your content. I won't go down the rabbit hole of all the nerdy email marketing talk, but you have good subject lines. And if I'm gonna, you know, toot our horn a little bit, Constant Contact has been around for a very long time. Like, this is what we do. This is what we're really, really good at, is making sure that you guys are delivered and you're opened.
So and to bifurcate our communications, we also have a separate one that goes out specifically to our broker participants, and it's a set of slides that's intended to help them work with their agents to educate them and improve their lot in life, which eventually is good for Prime MLS. So those two consistent communication channels, we try to stick with those. And then when there are events like the NAR settlement agreement, which necessitate a higher cadence of communication, that's when we'll start sending some extra messages that are focused specifically on those issues. Now, in this case, from an MLS perspective, it was actually relatively simple. The changeover was, hey, you can't do this anymore. It's kryptonite. It's plutonium. You can no longer include anything that says any kind of cooperating compensation, and the fields disappeared from listing maintenance. So that was the simple side of it. Now the more challenging side is responding to members when they say, "Oh, but can I say this?" If you're thinking, "Can I say this?" it probably means you're trying to convey cooperating compensation. So the answer is going to be pretty much no.
Right.
But that's the follow-up that our support team has to do post settlement, and it still goes on today.
Right, right. What are some of the challenges? And maybe Brown has given you some of this feedback. Who we love her. She's amazing. What is some of the, I guess, feedback as far as that your team might be struggling with in providing that support to members? Like, what do you feel like is making them lose sleep at night, and how can I, you know, better support during these times?
So we made sort of a seismic shift in the way we support our customers fairly recently. We used to say we want the customer's question to be answered on the first pickup. And we found that was very challenging to educate all of our staff on all of the deep aspects of the tools that we offer. So we've changed that now. So we have knowledge experts, and when somebody comes in with a question, we try to steer them to the person who will give them the correct answer. So it might involve a transfer, but at least they're getting the right answer immediately.
Right.
And this again lets our staff members gain expertise in a particular silo of knowledge, so they're batting 1,000 every time they get a question from a member.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So pivoting into, oh yeah, go ahead, Marilyn. Sorry.
So Chad, you know, 65% is great. I just saw someone on the panel on the chat just told they get 98. I'm like, I don't know what you're doing, but I want to be you when I grow up. That's amazing.
They must be giving away money every time.
Yes, I don't know. But what do you think is the, you know, like here's what I hear sometimes is, well, people look at the medium. Well, I need to have social media. I need to have email. I need to have this. I need to have that, right? They don't necessarily look at what to say or how to say it, right? Like an email is the most important communicator. We've done research, and we'll ask agents, you know, how well did your MLS communicate to you? Oh, they do great. You know, how much do you like, you know, which way should they send things to you? Well, they send me too much email. Okay, well, which way should they communicate to you? They should send to me through email. Right? So Email is at the center of the universe, whether
Mhm.
we want to think it's social media, it's not, it's email.
Right.
There's no question when it comes
That's
to
right.
MLS.
That's
But
right.
in terms of, have you tested different types of messaging, you know, some that's more like tied to like the practical day-to-day experiences or activities or needs of agents, or how, you know, what's dialed up that response rate, would you say?
Well, I think, again, it's consistency. I think Brianna takes the approach that, you know, we're going to talk about perhaps upfront, maybe a compliance issue that's a hot button at the moment based on recent customer calls. But it's always going to end with a long list of training. And sandwiched between there are a number of perhaps a new partner program that we've engaged in, just like Constant Contact was a recent partner engagement for us. So we'll talk about that opportunity. When our members look at our laundry list of services that we offer, it's about 19 items long. And so we need to take the opportunity occasionally to refresh our customers' knowledge that, hey, there are these tools out there. Most of them are in fact free. Some of them, it might be a freemium type of model where you can use it at a certain level. If you want to take it to a higher level, that's up to you. But it doesn't cost any more from an MLS subscription perspective.
Yeah. And, you know, again, obviously Constant Contact, we're honored to be one of those 19. And one of the things that was important to me coming on board with Constant Contact is that we didn't want to be just another vendor sitting in your marketplace or sitting on your website. We wanted to make sure that, hey, if we're going to say, hey, we're bringing value to your customers or to your members within the associations, how are we going to deliver that and drive that? And my passion being education is truly our number one lever with reaching more agents and more brokers. And so that's what we provide. And I wanted to take just a second for everybody here. You're probably wondering like, okay, what's this QR code on here? This QR code, if you guys want to open up your phones, open up your cameras and scan that, that's going to take you to an information request form for me. And if you would like to know more about how you can partner with Constant Contact, how we can do education and provide services for your organization, for your members, invite me to come into your computer screens and teach classes for your agents in all areas of online marketing, brand awareness, all that good stuff. Just fill that out and you and I can connect one-on-one. But that's what that QR code is for. And we'll talk a little bit more about it later. But with education, and again, when I came to Constant Contact, reached out to Brianna and said, hey, listen, I'm taking my education, I'm putting it under the umbrella of Constant Contact. Let me share with you more about it. She was super excited. Obviously, we knew each other. And I shared with her what our approach is, right? We want to teach people how to be better communicators. We want to teach how to be better marketers in general, but we want to teach, hey, what's the value of social media? Everyone always thinks of Constant Contact as the email company, and great, we wear that badge proudly. But being kind of omni-channel marketers, social media, SMS, you know, how can we do event marketing, things like that, and how we can work all of these together. I really think it was super timely because that's what everybody is looking to right now. How can I bring value? How can agents bring value to their customers? How can you bring value to your customers? And how can we actually make what you're offering, those 19 platforms, more, I guess, understood as to what they have available to them? Because there's a lot of organizations out there that have a laundry list of different providers and, you know, different things that they can offer, but people don't know about them. So I think you guys do a really, really great job. We do classes for Prime MLS twice a month. I just did one this morning. Actually, it was funny. I was like, oh, look at, I'm doing one with Prime this morning, called Adapting to Industry Shifts, and just talking about all of that great stuff. But topical stuff, like, are you offering to your customers classes on AI? What does that mean to a real estate agent, right? I go to a conference and I'm in this industry and we'll hear a class about AI and I'll start to go like this, like, whoa, this is way even over what I'm looking at learning right now. Agents want to know, how can I use it now? should I be afraid of the robots? You know, are they taking over our jobs? No, no, no. How can we use this to make us bigger, stronger, faster, more efficient? And I always tell people, my mom has been a lender for over 35 years. All of my classes, I'm like, hey, listen, mom, what do you think about this content? Right? If the average realtor in the US is a 56-year-old woman, is this going to be understandable, digestible, and implementable? And I do that for all of my content to make sure that we're going to touch topics that are going to be for those tech savvy folks that are wanting to know about blockchain, sure. But we're also going to make sure that our classes are going to be understood by the masses so that they can do something with it. So that's my long-winded way to say education is key. I know that we're aligned on that. And if you guys are not offering education that is implementable like we are doing with Constant Contact, we'd be happy to join you guys. So, but moving on with our conversation as far as member engagement, retention. Marilyn, I know you touched a little bit about this yesterday and kind of, you know, what you're hearing out in the marketplace. I'd love to hear you kind of kick this section off and hear from you as well, Chad.
Yeah, it's this is the key, right? There is not an MLS in the country that believes that they have as much engagement as they could have.
Right.
If there is, they're lying to themselves because nobody has it. Brokers don't have it, associations don't have it, MLSs don't have it. But having the ability, and you know, Chad talked about it earlier, a consistent focus, and almost like what we do when we help MLSs, we'll kind of lay out different types of communications. And I'll give you one example of something like, how often do you proactively reach out and ask them for suggestions? Because one of the things we're seeing in our customer experience index is that people know where to submit suggestions. Some are, I think it's like about 23% in general have made some kind of a suggestion, but it kind of falls off the radar in terms of what happened to the suggestion, right? So having a consistent feedback loop, or that could be one of your communication streams, and maybe that's even a separate email. I don't know, they leave it to the experts to figure that out, right? But also having a belief, and Chad does this, which uses Constant Contact for it, which is great. You have to constantly reintroduce products, constantly, right? Like you have to treat it like they're always new. And the hard part is, in your case, is a good example, Chad. You've got 19 technologies. You can't throw 19 of them at once because it'll be just this flurry of nothingness, right? So how do you find that balance of, you know, talking to these things consistently, finding a way to make them interesting, finding them a way that's like relevant to what's going on in the market today, right? And using something that frankly is attractive and gets their attention, right? So that's exactly, I think, why you're getting those high rates that you're doing, Chad, is because you're doing all of those things, right? You're not trying to sell them all 19 things every time you talk to them, because it's like, it's overwhelming. But on the other hand, when we ask people, why do you not use something? Almost in every single case, it's one of two things. I didn't know it existed, or I didn't know how it would help me.
That's right.
Right? So using communications to talk about the why, like, why is this valuable? And using subject lines. And one thing I think would be great for you to talk about, Stephanie, is the AI components you've got built in, because most people, Chad's lucky, he's got an amazing marketing driver in his company. A lot of MLSs can't afford to have a full-time marketing driver. They just don't have that, right?
That's right.
And so if they're hearing what you guys are saying, they want to do that. They want to have a broker communication regular. They want to have a, hey, did you know the greatest, coolest, newest tool we have, communication regular? Like that takes time and energy. And especially if you're a one-man shop or a two-man shop, like it's really hard to do that.
Right. Oh yeah.
So tell us how you can help people make that process simpler.
Yeah. So when we first started launch, I mean, Constant Contact has been using AI before it was ever a forward-facing thing that we're all leveraging as far as deliverability and all of that. But when we started to launch AI for all of our users, you know, we started to do a lot of surveys and feedback, and, you know, because we're big on, you know, we're not trying to just sell you a bunch of features. We want to sell you the problem that we're solving, right? We're selling the hole in the wall, not the drill. And people were saying just exactly to your point, Marilyn, they're saying, I can't afford to have a marketing director, but because of AI, I don't have to. So for example, a lot of folks, deliverability aside, right? Deliverability, most people aren't in the business of deliverability. That's what we do, right? And no one cares to know how that sausage is made. They just want the sausage, right? But when it comes to open rates, that really doesn't have much to do with your server or, who's providing your email, but what kind of subject lines you have, and of course, what your engagement looks like. But what we have with our AI tools is, number one, not many of us know what is a good engaging subject line, or not many of us know that writing in all caps can put you in spam, or using too many exclamation points can put you in spam. All these things we don't know, but with our AI tools, we kind of save you from yourselves, right? AI will actually not only give you suggestions for that, right? We completely remove the blank page syndrome. Here are the suggestions based on your email that either you created or we created with AI. Here are our suggested subject lines. You can take one, great. If there's anything wrong with it, AI will catch it and never send it until it's corrected. Or you can A/B test split, right? Where you've got the two different subject lines, and whichever one performs better, it'll convert all of those emails to that one subject line, that basically one. So we're making sure that those issues are not even an issue anymore, right? We're making sure that you have the best chance of open rates that are going to be successful. And then as far as the email in and of itself, a lot of us, we have the idea, right? We know what we want to say. We know the message we want to convey, but we're not good writers, or we don't have the time to really structure something that's going to look beautiful and professional. So that's where AI comes in. And with Constant Contact, AI can literally create an email for you, can literally create a newsletter for you, where you're able to tell the robots, here's the message I'm trying to convey. It'll create it for you. You tell the tone, just very much kind of like a Chat GPT type of scenario where you kind of let them know all the details. It'll craft the email for you. If you want to put it in Spanish, it can be in the email, it create that in different languages for you. It's very important in my Florida market. It really takes all the guesswork. And then as far as campaigns, this is a lot of stuff that we're not, a lot of leadership. We don't have somebody that specializes in this, or agents for sure. We might do an email here or a social media post there, but we don't have a full campaign. If an agent's doing an open house, for example, we want to make sure we're doing promotion ahead of time, right? We've got a registration or a landing page. We've got the email that's going out, the social media post that's going out, the reminder text for those who have opted in, the follow-up, all of that, the whole campaign from A to Z. Constant Contact, our campaign builder, can do that. You can literally say, here's the date of my event. Here's the date of my training. Here's the date of my open house. Here are the surrounding details. And the AI component will literally create all of the marketing assets, schedule it out based on best practices on when it should go out and the frequency it should go out. And it takes all that guesswork out. So
huge. Like, that is so much work. And that's
right.
I know there is not one person on this call that doesn't have great intention to create great consistent marketing. I know that's why they're here, because they're trying to figure out how to do it. So for you to help someone and, take a training event, right? There's so much great training that gets under leveraged because people just don't come, even though it's great stuff. It's teaching them really practical knowledge. So I think that's that in and of itself, never mind how great. And can you talk about the deliverability thing? Because I know you glossed over that, but anybody that has databases knows how difficult that can be. So I heard the CEO of Constant Contact said this. So I want to give you a chance to give us the bragging rights. What is your deliverability rate?
Yeah, so we have a 98% deliverability rate. We are the best in the world. There is no one better when it comes to email deliverability. It's our North Star. Everything, the sun rises and sets on our deliverability rate, and we won't do anything to compromise that. So in most settings, it's not the most exciting thing to talk about, but to your point, Marilyn, it's crucial. Our communication, if it's not being delivered, and a lot of things hinder it. This past year, we had the whole Yahoo, Google authentication issues. Most email companies were freaking out because people were not able to get their messages delivered. And because we've been in this game for so long, the Googles of the world come to us first. Hey, this is going to happen. And so we were able to take proactive measures in order to make sure that our customers were never interrupted at all. If you ask somebody who uses Constant Contact, they're like, what happened?
It's true. Like, even MailChimp and some of the big national players, I have clients that are still struggling with deliverability, that they never quite figured it out. But there's an interesting question Art's asking. Love to get both of your perspectives on this. He said, do you recommend an identifier in the subject line? Like, for instance, preferencing each subject line with MLS news ... and then talk about what it is. Is that good for subject lines or bad for subject lines?
As far as there's nothing bad there's nothing as far as like spam trigger with something like that. So I have two things that I have to say. I think it's great in the sense of, you know, as a real estate professional, I do want to hear if this is going to be something pertinent to me, that it's not just, you know, something random that I might gloss over. So I don't think there's anything wrong with that, but I think that you need to try to be a little bit clever. And again, because of AI, I don't have to coach you too much on how to be clever anymore. You can just kind of put what you're thinking you should put in it, and AI will actually convert it and structure it to where it would have optimal results. So I, you know, again, nothing wrong with it, but I definitely recommend using an AI type tool to help you structure those.
Chad, do you have something like that? Do you put sort of a, like, here's broker news, agent news, or product news, or do you have any qualifiers like what Art's discussing there?
I totally depend upon Brianna to do the right thing, and I know over time she has done the right thing. I would hope that our email would have our company name, and when the question came in from Art, it says, you know, MLS News. Well, I would make sure you get your own company name in there, as opposed to a generic reference to an MLS.
Gotcha. Okay.
That's a great call out. Yeah, I love that. And Brianna does an amazing job with what she does, and making sure, you know, there's not a lot of folks in leadership that calls us, hey, how about this? Or I'm making sure of this, or, you know, she definitely leverages resources, and I love that about her.
So she's looking over my shoulder, and she just texted me on the side. And we'll share our magic sauce. Our email newsletter is News You Need from Prime MLS.
I love that. I love that. Hey, you need this. Don't gloss over this. This is important.
Don't skip it. Don't skip it. We don't spam you, so please read the one a month we send you.
Yeah,
that's great.
I love it. The last webinar that we did, Marilyn, with you guys, we had Ricky Caruth on here. And one of the things that he says, listen, whether you're MLS leadership or whether you're a brand new agent, send an email every week or every month, whatever your cadence is, same time, regularly, always, and forever. Because you're going to start building that habit forming. To your point, right? I said that we're going to change our name, Constant Contact, to Consistent Contact. I'm just kidding. We want to be consistent because that builds habits. We don't want to be constant in the sense of, we want to be constantly consistent, where we're going to gloss over. But if you have your timely and regular outputs, I think people are going to really start saying, okay, I know once a month or once a week, this is what I need to open to get my information.
But I had a question for you guys too, because I get this sometimes. Do you, and maybe, yeah, Brianna, I'll ask you too, if you want to answer it in the chat, if you're listening. Do you guys do anything with sort of agent testimonials, or, you know, top producer X is using the you know, Flex MLS a certain interesting way, and we want to share it? Do you like let customers tell each other about cool things that they're doing? And if so, how does that work?
I am not familiar with us doing anything significant on testimonials. I'm going to wait and see if Brianna wants to chime in on this, but I don't think it's really our game. And there, she's just confirmed.
Yeah, she confirmed that.
Yeah.
Okay. Have you seen that around the country at all, Stephanie?
It's not as much. Yeah, I don't see as much sharing on that kind of stuff as much as we probably like to see, maybe. One of the things I did want to address here in the chat box, though, was somebody was talking about, it's not necessarily that they're being bombarded from us, but meaning like leadership with the MLS or the association, but so much as oversaturation of email just in general. And so I just wanted to touch base with that, because a lot of times what's happening is we want to make sure that we're having targeted emails, that we're getting to the right people at the right place at the right time. A lot of times, whenever we're sending out communications, we're just kind of blast sending emails, right? And this is brokers. I'm speaking a lot to you, a little bit more so than I'm talking about, you know, MLS and what you guys are doing, Chad. But if we're sending out, just throwing spaghetti on the wall and just hoping something sticks, you're not going to necessarily be at the top of my inbox, right? And we want to make sure that we are actually sending stuff that's relevant to folks, I give an example to agents in particular. I had an agent of mine that, worked with a buyer. A week later, right, sent out an email, used AI, it was personalized, and the email was basically like, hello, Stephanie. I was thinking about you today and was thinking it might be a really good time to talk about what your home is worth. I'm thinking right now might be the best time to sell. Well, this was a week after they just purchased the home, right? That was very inauthentic, right? Clearly, that email wasn't directed to me, right? 52% of consumers are going to disengage when they feel like their content's not relevant or targeted. So I think it's important too, when we're thinking about how we're delivering messages, that we're also sending messages that are relevant. So there are some things like a newsletter, right? Prime MLS news that you need to know, whatever it might be. Great. That's something you're going to send, broadcast. But if maybe you're trying to send out communication that's specific to broker or specific to agent or specific to team or whatever it might be, we really need to start being a little bit more intentful about targeting our communications. Now, with Constant Contact, where we try to, again, save you time and it'll still allow you to be very targeted, is we have what's called dynamic content. So, for example, if Brianna is sending out a newsletter, and there are some things that are relevant to some people in your audience and some things that are relevant to the others that are not, you can actually hide that content, right? Or let's say if an agent has a newsletter and there's relevant information for their buyer list and there's relevant information for their seller list, that actually can be tweaked within their segmentation to where you can send out the same newsletter, but it's going to be read differently for me than it will be for you, Marilyn, right? So sending the right message at the right time, you're gonna get people that are going to be more engaged with your content. Having clickable images. Brianna, you're great with this. She's like our unspoken guest on our podcast today. Sending out, clickable images so that you can actually get results from this. Like, how many of you guys are really analyzing your results? I'm getting this much engagement on this type of content. I'm getting this much engagement on this. I'm getting no engagement on this, so that we can regularly assess what our communications are like, so we can start truly narrowing in or zeroing in on the type of stuff that's relevant to our membership.
So Marcia Sterling from FMLS, shout out to Atlanta. How you doing, Marcia?
Hey,
She said that she's actually tried some testimonials and she feels like it helps get I'm sorry, wrong Marcia, sorry. Cape Cod, sorry, Marcia.
Oh, hey, Cape Cod.
She thinks it helps get their members' attention and she thinks it helps with adoption. So it's a good thing.
Love that. Adoption's a big deal. That could be a whole nother webinar for another day too, especially with brokers, right? The average broker provided tool adoption rate is less than 20%. And when I think about just over the years, how much brokers are investing in tools that their agents just aren't using, and they'll say, oh, we spend thousands of dollars every month for XYZ and my agents don't use it. And you're going, I thought it was really interesting. And I think it was Jeff Kennedy posted something on LinkedIn recently saying like, hey, just because you've been using this doesn't mean you have to keep using it. So I think that's something that's important too, of, kind of getting that assessment of, for the brokers that are on the call today, are your folks using your tool, right? Maybe you need to reassess, or maybe they're not using a certain component to your tool that maybe you need to supplement. I get a lot of calls like that. Hey, we're using XYZ CRM, but our email deliverability is really bad. Like, we really need to up our game in this area, and we're able to supply in that area. So, okay. Going back to tech and education better together. Chad, is there anything you want to kind of chime in? We've been kind of dominating the conversation here a little bit.
I'm used to that, and it's okay. So I was going to reinforce what you said about looking inward at the services that you provide. That 20% figure was an interesting one, but you do need to bottom up look at all of the services you provide and assess the competitors that might have arisen since you chose a particular product or service, to evaluate whether or not it's time to change partners. We do it all the time. and
Yeah.
it's worth doing. And it's important to remember also that from an MLS perspective, at least, your audience is very different. So it's a big spectrum of individual practitioners make up about half of our participants, and the other half are part of larger offices. So the big brokerages, they want you to give them listing input and maintenance, and that's it, because they have a tech stack that they already pay for at a corporate level for their members. But then again, your mom and pop shops, they love potentially every tool that you provide for free, because they frankly can't afford to go out and seek these tools on their own.
Right. And I agree with that. Do you think that, especially now in the times that we're in, do you feel kind of a tug at what your responsibilities are, even to those larger organizations, at becoming more of a resource? Do you think that that's shifting at all? Do you think that, big box brands, of course they have their own tech and all of this, but do you think that there is a space for the MLS to provide even more value even to them, other than, they get their data from the MLS, but
well, if they're not mandated to use their broker tools, then certainly we can offer some good solutions in most spaces. We're not into forms or transaction management here at Prime MLS. So those are some heavy hitting tools that we leave to our associations at the state level typically, or let the brokerage do that. Now we're down into other lower level productivity tools for our members.
Yeah. Great. So, just kind of going into just more so of, all right, Steph, you've talked a lot about partnership. All right, we know you guys in Prime MLS, you guys are, in partnership together. What does that look like? So being a partner with Constant Contact, and how we're really filling in a gap in this area comes down to kind of our three pillars. We want to bring value to your members. We want to equip your members with the industry's leading digital marketing tools. We also want to provide education, like the topic of today's conversation, education and technology working together. It is so important. That is what's going to change that adoption rate. That's what's going to change it. When people are able to see what this outcome, what this will do for me, you're going to see adoption rates skyrocket.
Chiming in on that one, because you're on that slide, the CE orientation is significant for us. Brianna and her training team spend a lot of time making sure that we can offer as much free CE education credits as possible, which typically requires us to work with our state associations or state regulatory bodies to make sure that those classes are accredited appropriately.
Yeah, absolutely. And everyone's always looking for opportunities for CE classes that also keep them awake and engaged. So that is something I try to make sure I hang my hat on. Is like, let's create some great CE education that's going to be valuable, and it's also going to be very interesting and engaging. So we provide that. So we do CE classes. We do non-CE classes as well for MLSs and associations and brokerages. We also offer ongoing training. So the difference between our educational classes, our CE classes, and ongoing training is the educational classes are just that. They're educational. They're value-based. They're not product pushes. They're not how to use Constant Contact classes. Ongoing training, right? For those who are our customers, we have ongoing training, community resources. We have a Be a Marketer podcast that if you guys are not listening to that on Spotify or anywhere you get your podcast, definitely listen to that. We do have a spinoff series, Be a Real Estate Marketer, coming out soon. So all of that, for our customers, of course, we have, but just I thought it was worth mentioning that the CE and the education we provide is not product focused. And then non-dues revenue. Rev share is important. We're always looking, of course, everyone's always looking for opportunities. So for MLSs, associations, brokerages, we do have rev share opportunities and discounts. So every agent with Prime MLS, if they are a Constant Contact customer, they get a very hefty discount. So they're able to come on board with us at a very special rate that we're able to negotiate down. So all of those are just added benefits. But where I think we take things to the next level, making me so proud, of course, to be with Constant Contact, is we're serving you, we're serving our partners, we're bringing you value, but we're taking it to the next level, from onboarding, co-authoring, thought leadership. Like, we want to be the people you call. Like I was mentioning earlier, I had an organization call me the other day. Steph, I've got a YPN event in 3 weeks. You think you can come out and support it? And I'm like, my marketing team's probably not thrilled with me, but yes, we'll be there in 3 weeks, right? Like, we want to be that first call. And really work hand in hand with you guys to service all of your customers for sure. And then, of course, in true spirit of transparency, all of our partners do get a partnership tool inside of their Constant Contact portal, so that you can see what that engagement looks like, so that you can see everybody that is coming on board with Constant Contact, that we're one of 19 tools with Prime MLS. We want to make sure that we're a valuable one, and we give you full insight as to what that looks like.
Hey, Stephanie, we just got a question about where can we get more information on the rev share? Is that the link that's right here?
Yep. So if you go ahead and click on that link or scan that QR code, that's going to take you to just a Google form to fill out information. And I will personally reach out to you to get you that information on what those rev share opportunities are. We offer new account bonuses once customers are with us for 90 days. If I were to toot my horn one more time, the average lifetime of a real estate customer with Constant Contact is 7.5 years. And for those of you who understand tech, that is unheard of, and is completely impressive. It's one of the first things I looked into coming on board here. And so that speaks volumes, not just to Constant Contact. Of course, we're wonderful, but that speaks volumes to the fact that we're filling a need. That's super important. So,
They asked, can you actually share the link if you want to?
oh, yes. Oh, goodness gracious. Yes. Let me get that link for you guys for sure, and put it in the chat box. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah, while I'm grabbing that, Chad, do you want to speak a little bit to over here? I've just got some examples here of stuff that you guys are creating. If you want to share a little bit about that.
Yeah, so the right image there is, that's the top line of our monthly Advantage newsletter that goes out to all of our customers, and you can see the first message there was the fact that we upped our photo count. Important for people to know that we went from 40 to 60, a 50% increase in photo count, and the key is on the left: training. Okay. Long list of, you want to learn about something, either Prime MLS or our partners. You just said you were training this morning, will provide us with their upcoming training calendar for the next month, and we'll expose that to all of our customers for you, which they will open with a 58% rate, and see those opportunities. The image on the left, I'm afraid, that looks like.
So I will speak to that, Chad. So
okay.
So the image on the left there, that is what we offer for all of our partnerships, that whether you're an MLS, association, brokerage, we will actually do some custom design work for you. So here is just an example of a custom newsletter template that we created for Prime, that Brianna or whoever is doing, this kind of design work for you can simply drag and drop your relevant information, but we will actually have inside of your Constant Contact account a beautiful custom created template that our pro services team will do on your behalf. Marilyn, you and I were talking about this earlier. It was like, you know what? A lot of folks don't have these skill sets to be able to, create custom design work. So the fact that we're stepping in and doing that for you guys is just, another way for us to, again, say thank you for partnering with us and give you everything at your fingertips that you could possibly need.
It's like, I almost look at Constant Contact, this program for MLSs, as you're kind of their marketing partner, your subscriber marketing partner. You're helping them write content. You're helping them figure out how to make a newsletter deliverable, how to get people to click on things. and creating the actual visual and writing the articles. Like that's what takes, we all know we should do more of this and none of us do it enough. And you've just
Right.
fixed that for us, right? So now it just takes the discipline of that consistently content, what'd you say? Constant,
Being constantly consistent.
yeah. And Chad, kudos to you and Brianna too. That I love that title is the Prime MLS Advantage. In other words, there's a marketing advantage. There's a marketing value for being part of us. It's not just like news that's coming out that's because we want to tell you. It's because it's actually going to help you, right? That's a huge shift. And I'm sure with your Constant Contact AI tool, if you say that, tell me how I can suggest that this is a great benefit and how it's going to help them succeed. And it'll just write that, right? It's amazing.
Yeah. And that's,
Awesome.
I feel like value's been the buzzword, since all of this has been coming down, is how can we provide value? How is this MLS providing value? How is this association providing value? Brokers, how are you providing value? And when I was sitting down with our marketing team the other day and we were kind of sketching out some plans of how we provide value and said, all right, got the word value. Let's whiteboard. What are we doing to help our partners? What are we giving them? What is the value? Like really spelling that out. And sometimes when you have to like describe what you're doing without using the word value, what the value is, it really makes you think, right? How are we making their lives easier? How are we making them more successful? How are we saving them time? How are we saving and making them money? And how are we making them better marketers? Because that's going to make them successful. And so I think again, it's our North Star is deliverability, but our other North Star, if we had to have two, is doing just that. We really, really want to step into the real estate space. We've been around for a long time. It's one of our largest verticals. And it's amazing to me. So many people are like, well, gosh, oh my goodness, it's so great to see you on the real estate scene. And I love it because I love that we're having that presence now, that we're taking it to the next level. Even though we have so many customers in the real estate vertical for so long, but to see us to be able to grow and just fill in a need is makes me proud and makes me sleep at night feeling like we're doing something great.
Yeah, so those that ask for the link, if you look in the chat, you'll see the docs.google.com link. Click on that, and that will take you to a form that will go directly to Stephanie, and then she can take you through in more detail all the, how the programs work, what the educational services are, how that revenue share might work. We all know that's a cyclical business. As the market has gotten softer and as membership has started to fall off a little bit, revenue shares are becoming very popular again. So timing is very good on that to, try to offset what could be, some significant revenue loss if the market continues the way that it is. So.
Yeah, for sure. And just real quick here, I forgot that I put this in here, but these are just some examples of the education that we're doing. We try to make it just kind of done for you. You say, hey, we would love for you to do classes. Great. We'll create the flyer. We'll do the marketing assets. You promote it to your members. We'll handle the registration. These are our top 3 classes we're doing right now. AI Magic has been such a big one. Of course, AI being another buzzword. Adapting to industry shifts, just kind of talking all about how we can level up our game. Even when the winds are blowing, we can still stand tall. Text to Success is our new one rolling out. I'm super thrilled about because we don't think of texting in marketing. We don't always necessarily know when's the appropriate time, opt in. When do we have to have people opt in order to send text? And what does that look like? And we're just dispelling all the myths, getting rid of all of the anxiety when we think about, I want to do text, but how do we do it? And giving you guys opportunities to leverage that. So they're fun. They're great. Myself and my team that we're bringing on board, we just brought somebody that I've worked with for many years, who's a phenomenal educator. So we're just excited to be able to bring that to your business as well.
Hey, Stephanie, you just reminded me of one thing that I know MLSs I work with love about you guys. Can you talk about your group text capabilities?
Oh, yes. So SMS marketing. And again, this is something that everyone wants to do, but so many don't or don't know how to leverage it, is we do full on SMS marketing. So what that looks like is, of course, there's a lot of rules and regulations. You do have to have opt-in because you can't just blow up everybody's phones. We all know that. And of course, we have tools built into Constant Contact to be able to gain permissions and all of that. So that's just part of our omni-channel. We want to make sure that we have the best means for you to email, the best means for you to be able to post on social and engage. We have something called social listening. So from your platform, you can follow up on your Facebook or your Instagram DMs and comments and shares and all that, and be able to see who's engaging on social. And now with SMS capabilities as well. And how I like to teach that, guys, is think of your marketing. This is going to be my little, we're going to end with my pro tip here. Think of your marketing as we call the party principle. The big party, the main event is your social media, right? We're posting about our organization in front of everybody and anybody. Your email, right? That's your after party. Some would say is the most fun, right? This is the people who know you, like you, trust you. These are your members. These are your customers. Agents, this is your sphere. This is where 86% of your business is coming from. And then SMS is your more timely communication, right? It's not going to be where you mass send out to 10,000 people. These are going to be the people that maybe you see are engaging with certain parts of your content. This is going to be for people who are maybe, registering for a certain event, but definitely a more timely, more personable message. So how can we leverage all three of those? We talk a lot about those in our classes.
Awesome. And do you do classes on those kinds of things for MLS execs themselves?
We don't necessarily do it for MLS execs, but I think that's a great idea. And something we've been toying around with as we're really embarking on more broker style solutions, because we do have our enterprise solutions that brokers are really starting to engage with, where you have more nested accounts and more control, brand control. So as we're toying with and kind of whiteboarding what education looks like, I'd be happy to teach to my MLS folks. And for those of you who are going to be at CMLS in a couple weeks, we are the proud digital marketing provider for CMLS. Come and see us. I'd love to connect with you, have coffee or something, but let's talk about how we can make MLS even greater. Even though you guys are having to wear your policeman hats, we can help you with that.
We'll help. We're happy to host it, Stephanie, if you want to step up and go into more detail. Today was a great overview of all the different ways that you can partner together, but how can you truly become the MLS's marketing department? Because most people don't have enough bandwidth there. Even if they have 5 people, they don't have enough bandwidth. There's never enough bandwidth in marketing.
Love it.
So
yeah, I love it. Hey, Brianna, if you're listening, maybe I'll tap you on the shoulder and let you be a resource for me as I craft the class out on some great best practices.
She's got a little bit of bandwidth, and
Sure.
so I'll set her free on that.
Yeah,
Marilyn talked before about how she full-time marketing. Let me tell you, she wears a lot more hats than just marketing.
Exactly. So that's why, and she does an amazing job. Just think if she had an AI partner sitting at her side and marketing guidance on, every turn she's taken, she'd be even more amazing. So
that's right. That's right. You heard that, Brianna. You heard it here first. Chad says you have a bunch of time.
I don't think I said that, but I did offer a little bit of time.
That's awesome. That's awesome. No, this has been so great. And that's what I love about these conversations is now you've got my wheels turning and trying to see what we can craft as far as actual training for MLS execs. That'd be great.
All right. Well, thank you guys so much. Stephanie, you're always a whirlwind of information and enthusiasm, and Chad, just, fighting the good fight in New England, doing the right thing. And it looks like it's working really well for your customers. So that's all you can have. So thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And hopefully those that are on the call got some good takeaways from it. If not, go to that QR code and Stephanie will definitely take you deeper. She'll tell you.
Let's meet up. Chad, thank you for your wisdom. Marilyn, thank you so much as always for being such a thought leader in this. So have a great one, everyone.
Have a great day.
Here. Thank you.